Okay, so now we are happy to welcome Professor Chiara Bodei from the University of Pisa.
Thank you, Roberto. So good morning to everybody. I'm Chiara Bodei from University of Pisa, as Roberto told, and I will talk about preserving landmark legacy software and of two projects in which University of Pisa is involved, that are Software Heritage Acquisition Protocol and the Software Stories. So I think that it is important to pass on. In the past, we have lost many poems, tragedies, books, musical scores, whatever, manifests. And with them, we've lost the keys to understand the words they represent, and definitely an important part of our cultural heritage. In the same way, also the source code of landmark software is an important part of our cultural heritage. And it helps us in accessing and understanding the history and the evolution of a technology that is changing the way we live. And it is related, if you want, with the history of ideas that produced it. And still thinking to old poems, many poems were handed down, and they have been saved in which way? By being transcribed in written forms. But this is not sufficient. They have been collected and in a wide access infrastructure, like all the libraries, places that were able to preserve them and to make them circulate in the community of the times. So similarly, legacy code actually has been transcribed into paper or some kind of digital stores, but this media risk to be as labile and ephemeral like memories, our memories, human memories. So they need to be saved in something that is persistent, public. And this is the idea of software heritage, to build a universal archive whose keys are always on or always available, where it is possible to copy and copy and copy, and with this operation to save code. And here it was the call, the Paris call of 2018, a call for supporting efforts in gathering and preserving artifacts and narratives of the history of computing. Now, because now it is possible to talk with the earlier creators if they are still alive. And here comes Pisa. And why Pisa is involved in this project, why Pisa decide to answer the call, and why Pisa is honored to be part of this kind of project. The reason is that Pisa plays a key role in the Italian history of computing, and more generally in Italian computer science. It is considered as the cradle of Italian computer science since the 50s of the last century. And it was in Pisa that the first scientific computer was designed and finally built and inaugurating in 1961. And it is the name is Calcolatrice Elettronica Pisana, CEP. And the legend says that Enrico Fermi supported this idea of creating a computer and not just buying it abroad. And this project, together with the project, a parallel project of Olivetti, gave rise to a group of people that was expert in the early computer science. And this led also to the creation and the launching of the first Italian degree course in computer science in 1969. And after 50 years, the call was answered. And finally, Pisa University hosts a museum of computing machinery, now hosting the Calcolatrice Elettronica Pisana. And it is a further confirmation of the fact that Pisa is interested in the history of computer science and also in computer science, of course. And so here comes the part of the story where Pisa University joins its efforts with software heritage and UNESCO, and with the mission of rescuing and archiving landmark legacy software source code. And this was made by a technical team composed by Laura Bussi, Carlo Montanger, that is here, and Guido Scatena and Roberto Di Cosmo, that you all know. And the launch of this joining was in June, and very soon in October, close to the 5th anniversary of the creation of the first Italian degree, there was the very first part of the project that is called Software Heritage Acquisition Process. You can find everything on it, and you can ask also Carlo and Roberto for more details. But in a nutshell, this project is a sort of methodology and a tool to collect and preserve software that has an historical, scientific, and cultural relevance. And it is not just an idea, it is able to provide concrete guidelines, detailed, actionable, and for all the phases necessary to rescue this kind of material, so curate, illustrate legacy source code. It is a model for computer historians, and it is a sort of turnkey protocol, so everyone can start the curation journey just today, because it is a roadmap everyone can follow and can contribute to make it finer. And as a byproduct, it was validating on several landmark legacy software developed over 40 years in Pisa. This is a sort of abstract view of the protocol. There are 4 phases. In the first, we just collect the raw material, all the documents necessary, and they are saved both in a physical and digital way. Then there is a curation phase in which raw material is cleaned and organized, the contributors are identified and so on. And then all the curated material is put in safe in an archive that preserve them. The last part is presentation, and we will back soon on this. So validation was made on several decades of programs of source code. These are some of them, and you can see that there are several situations, several kind of source code. So this validates more the approach. And in particular, I just focus on one of them. This is a source code that was used for digital music, and every kind of source code has different features, different purposes, different size, different support, different acquisition mode, different target machine, programming language, and kind of versioning. In particular, this software is interesting because it contributed to one of the first experiments in computer music, really long before Spotify. But this kind of stories are so interesting that deserve to be told and listened. And this is the goal of what is next. So see more in a while, be patient for a while. See, this lets us to the last part of the SWHAP protocol, that is the presentation phase, that is what is left to further develop. We have a lot, but we need to go on the presentation part to collect all the material, all the artifacts that are relevant for the history of a particular software project, and to preserve them. They have to be saved on some repositories, like, for instance, Wikimedia, and then turned in lively stories. That is not a trivial goal, because you need to sort of reverse engineer the ideas and the immaterial part that lies behind the source code. So it is not an easy task. But this is part of the next project, that is the software stories one. And it is a further collaboration among Software Heritage, UNESCO, University of Pisa, and Data Current. But for this, I leave the floor to the short demos that will be shown in a few minutes. So just to recap, legacy source code is an important part of our cultural heritage. It's not only software, it's part of a cultural heritage. It's an important trace of the human efforts behind one of the biggest revolution of this age, the digital one, and it must be preserved. And SWHAP can contribute to this, providing concrete and detailed guidelines, still in the moment in which many of the people involved in the elaboration of legacy source code is alive, and still they have on their desk some documents, they have some machine still working incredibly with something inside. And software stories will make it possible to provide the storytelling of all of this. So the last thing I can say on behalf of the project, in particular of the University of Pisa, is a call on all the stakeholders, other university, research institution, and whoever can contribute with their legacy code. So please join us, adopt SWHAP. SWHAP can help, and join forces in rescue our software heritage. Thank you for your attention.